My first memory of getting to know Julian was when he came over to our apartment after their third or fourth date, and he asked me for a glass of water. I handed him a glass and he goes straight to the fridge. He looks inside and looks at me and goes, "Where's your Brita?" We actually don't have a Brita here. We drink out of a tap, Your Majesty. I was like, okay, is this boy bougie? This began a brother-sister-like relationship over the past 10 years. What really surprised me about Julian is how immediately he knew how to the ways to get into Emily's heart. Cheese pizza, Taco Bell, and me. Julian knew how close Emmy and I were, so while he was courting Em, he was also courting me, like all good boyfriends do, knowing this level of sisterhood could bring you in, but also shut you out immediately. He would bring us food, hang out, and watch the show Friends with us. He got me an extra large pepperoni pizza for my 20th birthday. This man knows what he's doing. We all went to Coachella together in 2018, and on that day I was planning on camping out at the stage that Beyonce would be performing in all day, and he chastised me as my own brother would to be safe, meet us at this specific spot, and text them as soon as the show was over. Once the show ended, I looked at my phone to 14 messages from Julian, making sure that I still knew the plan, and that we were at the designated spot where we would meet up. I am not really sure that Emily even texted me with that same message to make sure I knew the plan. It's a great testament to who he is. He has a fierce need to take care of people in his life. The biggest sweetie you'll ever know, the most nonsense and rational person you'll ever know. Julian's friends would describe him as a no bullshit person who is loved so deeply because he brings people together with ease. He is welcoming and genuinely cares for his families and friends. He can be a brat, but we love him anyway. Julian will matter-of-factly state a new angle, a new way to think about any topic with so much confidence you can't not agree with him, which makes it so much more flattering when he trusts my judgment about the most random things. For example, I found some old text from Emily describing this well. This text is from February 2019. Emily says, "Hey, what did you think about the show Mindhunter, a show on Netflix?" I go, "Well, it's super slow." Emily responds with, "Well, we were about to start it, but Julian goes, if Sam says it's slow, we're not watching it." Shuts it over. Julian is also so incredibly smart, so these two-brain kids will often be caught talking about some obscure crypto update, and you have to nod along and act like you know what's happening. He also agreed to get a cat out of his sheer love for Emily, and has become the sweetest, most loving cat dad, eating Mozzie her churro treats while sitting on his lap. Your girls, Emmy and Mozzie, are so lucky to have you. I love you, Julian, and go Lions! All right, so here's a segment on them together. So let me set the scene. It is March of 2015. Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars was the #1 song in the country. One Direction had just broken up. Gas was $2.45, and Emily and Julian went on their first date. Before this fateful day in history, the two had known of each other through Greek life at the call, but thanks to mutual friends, began showing up at a lot of the same places. While Julian had only known Emily from afar, he was waiting for the right opportunity to talk to her, and then he finally did. The hours before the first day, I remember laying on Emily's bed, the room filled with palpable excitement, as we reviewed potential outfits. As she ventured out to meet Julian, I sat perched at the window next to her bed and looked down onto the street watching him make the pick. I remember thinking, what a sweet young man. Now, a decade later, it is my privilege to stand before them officiating their wedding. Life has a funny way of coming full circle. They both described their first date as delightfully natural. They had an almost immediate comfort in one another. The most unnatural part of the whole date was Julian ordering many vegetarian options for Emily. So, on the first try, they hit it right off the bat, falling into a comfortable banter and camaraderie, setting a foundation of deep friendship. Julian was drawn to the dual sides of Emmy, the sides everyone in her life has come to admire. Her ability to be fun, extremely down to earth, radiate a contagious bubbliness, but also take life seriously, staying on top of her many commitments and dedicating herself to her forever changing goals. She always knew who she was, so any extra part of herself she had to give was centered around making the people in her life happy. She was wifey material. Emmy was drawn to Julian's airy confidence and sweet demeanor that made it very evident he cared deeply for the people in his life. She was flattered by his undivided attention, a rare quality for a 22-year-old boy, a quality he's never lost in their almost 10-year love story. To this day, he is the biggest sweetheart she knows. he's just husband material. So she says it also didn't hurt that he was oh so handsome, had a great head of hair, and extremely beautiful long eyelashes. They both said falling in love was so natural and matter of fact. Julian's exact sentiment being, it was exactly as it was supposed to be. When they were thinking about moving in together, they wondered if they were making the right choice. Being rational thinkers, not wanting to impulsively jump into the next milestone. In reality, they both knew it made less sense not to live together because they knew they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together. Watching Emily love Julian and Julian love Emily has been so incredibly special. Watching a couple who is so deeply rich in love and friendship. They're a couple that grew up together, from adolescence to the next generation of adulthood, which makes this relationship so unique and filled with so much depth. Over the past 10 years, they've been there for each other, through every milestone, graduating college, starting their careers, living together, moving to New York, and now getting married. Love isn't always perfect, and it doesn't always come easy. It's a short word, easy to spell, difficult to define, and impossible to live without. Love is work, but most of all, love is realizing that every hour, every minute, and every second was worth it because you did it together. With that, I want to flip the script and have Emily and Julian speak about their love with their own written vows. Julian's going to kick us off.